Assalamu alaikum, my name is Asker Bakari. I'm from MPAC UK. Now today what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to apply pressure to your MP and what is the point of it. A lot of Muslims out there who say the no voting brigade, the voting is haram brigade, say it makes no difference whatsoever, and I'm going to try to explain why that is not true and why it absolutely is essential for Muslims to take part in pressuring their MP to do something. My videos, as you know, are normally extremely boring. It's just me talking to you or the camera and me droning on and on and on. But Raza, who makes a kind of series called Raza Reacts, has come around my house and said, what the hell are you doing? You can't just sit there and start talking to people on the camera. You know, make it a bit more flash. Here's some techniques. Use, you know, some sort of IT geekery. You'll know if it works because there'll be stuff, you know, coming up in the corner or music playing in the beginning. And if I can't remember how to do it, then just be me talking. So sorry about that. Now I'm not going to go into a theological argument to take on those who disagree with voting. I'll do that either in another video or in a public debate. If any of those brothers out there who disagree with voting theologically, brothers from Hizb ut-Tahrir and other groups, they want to debate with me in a public debate, I'm more than willing to do that. But here I'm just going to focus on the practical reasons, because these same brothers always say, well, what difference does it make? This is going to make no difference. And they use various arguments to back that up. What it will do is it will give you a number of things. It will give you MPs that actually speak up when it is needed for a just cause. Let's take, for example, in Bradford, both George Galloway and David Ward publicly came out and slammed Israel for what they're doing in Gaza right now. Hardly any MPs in Muslim areas did that, but those two did it. So if you vote correctly, you can get MPs that in the right time, in a crisis, will lend their voice, powerful voices, in public and speak up. And remember, David Ward was censured by his own party for speaking up, but he still did it. In other words, they voted in, the people of Bradford voted in a man with some courage. So in other words, it helped our cause in some way. When it comes to Islamophobia, no MPs, maybe George Galloway, only George Galloway as far as I know, have ever publicly stood up and slammed newspapers or Islamophobic organisations. Why? Muslims elect between 70 and 100 MPs in Britain, and yet none of those MPs that they elect speak up against Islamophobia. Lastly, when there is a vote for war, those MPs that you elect can vote against it. Take Syria, for example. There was a vote. David Cameron wanted to go to war in Syria, but it was voted down. So now let me explain to you very briefly how this works. What are the levers of influence you have on your members of parliament? Well, for one thing, the Muslim block vote. Muslims currently block vote, and they block vote like a bunch of idiots and always for the same party, Labour. Now you may think I'm exaggerating, but it's a fact. For example, 10,000 Muslims approximately vote for Jack Straw. What a bunch of morons. The very man who pushed for the Iraq War, was one of the chief architects of the Iraq War, voted in by Muslims. Why? Because he's Labour. The man who put Hamas and Hezbollah on the terrorist watch list, but not Israel. Why? Because he's Labour. The man who was, according to a number of books now, was complicit in torture of Muslims and secret rendition of Muslims around the world. Why? Because he's Labour. Year in, year out, these morons from Blackburn keep voting him in, and they are not the only ones. Across Britain, you will have Muslims block voting in MPs that are completely against what they stand for. So remember, you're not choosing a party. Don't vote for a party. All parties have good and bad in them. Vote for a candidate. The best candidate is the one who's going to have the guts to speak up for you when it comes to a time of crisis. It doesn't matter if they're a Green Party, if they're the Tories, if they're Liberal Democrats, if they're Respect. If they have the guts to speak up, and that's the point, then that's the person you need to be voting for, because that's the power they have. Remember, if you can block vote people in, you can also block vote bad MPs out. Now here's a quick point to remember. There's always some nasty Zion Nazi media guy out there going, oh my God, Muslims block voting. They're not really British. Therefore, why are they asking for special favours? So don't ask for any dumb, stupid, moronic thing from your MP. yeah, only ask for two things. One, are you for justice and an ethical foreign policy? Yes? Great. Two, are you against Islamophobia, and do you think Muslims are equal in this country to every other citizen? And will you speak up against Islamophobia? Yes? Great. The problem with block voting is this. You have, I don't know, an area of 10,000 Muslims, and 9,999 of them are complete half-wits and haven't got a clue about how to vote or what to vote for. And you now know what to do. What you really need to do, and this is the problem here, is you need a team of people who are willing to spend 6 months or so to educate these people, so when it comes to elections, they know who the right candidate is, and that takes work. So that's the downside to what I'm saying, but it can be done. For example, MPAC, the Muslim Public Affairs Committee, the group that I volunteer for, have removed about 6 or 7 MPs due to a Muslim vote, and doing exactly that, knocking on every single Muslim door, organising hustings, organising talks 6 months before an election, and making sure that everyone is ready and understands the issues and who's anti-Muslim and who's not, and who they should and should not be voting for. So it's an education game to get a Muslim bloc vote. Okay, I've explained about bloc voting. Now let me explain about lobbying. Lobbying is a lot easier, and it simply means this: you influencing your MP. Pro-Israel community are brilliant, past masters in this, and mainly because the Jewish community, or the pro-Israel Jewish community, fund organisations to lobby for them. Muslims are so pathetic that they spend all their money in charity abroad and fund no organisations here to do that type of hard work here. So how do you do it? Very simply, there's 3 ways to influence your MP. 1, you educate them, you meet them, you give them books, you give them CDs, you talk to them, and you simply advocate your cause and why you feel it's important. Yeah? So in other words, you're enlightening someone who previously was in the dark. The second thing is you influence them by helping them. For example, why should an MP like David Ward stick his neck out for the Palestinians and for justice and what's right when he knows he's going to get gunned down, probably by his own party and definitely by some newspapers and from some pro-Israel Zionists? Why is he going to make his life hell? Because you have to give the counter, and you go, well, okay, I know they're going to give you a hard time, but what we're going to do is we're going to do X for you. And what you can do is you can say, look, come election time, I will do one of the 2 things. 1, I will get a group of brothers and sisters and we'll do all the houses for you. We'll knock on all the Muslim doors and try to convince them to vote for you. So in other words, you become a campaigner on his behalf at election time or throughout the year. The second thing you can do is you can fund his campaign. So you can say, look, I haven't got time to fight your campaign, but I will fund it come election time. I will write you a check. I know the pro-Israel lobby will be writing their guy a check to get you out. Well, I'm not going to allow you out after what you've done for the Muslims, and I'm going to get you into power, right? I'm not talking about tens of thousands of pounds, 200 quid, 400 pounds, £1,000. All of it adds up. Get 10 brothers who are giving £200. All of a sudden you've got a great campaign on your hand. And lastly, joining the party itself. If you are part of his team because you are a member of that party, well, guess what? You're a mover and shaker. You're an influencer. You're there when when he gets attacked. You can advise him. You can say, look, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to get? How are we going to take on the attacks against us? What's our angle? What's our story? How are we going to get the voters on side? You are in the mix. You are in the nerve centre of his campaign. So if you are there, part and parcel of his team, then he's going to be influenced by you. He's going to be grateful for what you're saying, and he's going to stand up for justice because his whole team around him are part and parcel of a team who want justice on this earth. Now here is my last word of warning. Do not be a complete muppet and believe any MP at all because they've simply said, yeah, I agree with you. That means nothing. They are trained at just going, yeah, you're right. Yeah, thanks, brilliant, see ya, bye. No, what you have to do is just be a little more clever, and that's as simple as this. It's not hard, don't worry, it's simply this. If he says, I'm against Islamophobia, damn it, I can't believe the way the Muslims are being treated by the newspapers. Really? Okay, Sonny Jim. Well, now you're in power, because we helped you get into power. What we want is next time there is an article in the newspaper or a Islamophobic attack in the media, we want you to actually publicly say that is a disgrace. Publicly say that that is a racist article. Publicly say that Islamophobia is unacceptable. Because that is exactly what MPs up and down this country would be saying if Jews were attacked. Because Jews do exactly what I've just said to you. Many of them do. So why aren't you? If they can stand up for the Jewish community, why can't they stand up for you? Because you have no political power, because you don't know how to play the game. Hopefully this video goes some way in changing that. Alright, thank you very much for listening to me. Always a pleasure listening to myself. And if you have any questions, post them on the kind of little box below. Go on our MPAC UK Facebook page. Please join it, please like it, please join our Twitter page, please like it. We're constantly being attacked by Zionists, reporting us, saying, we're anti-Semitic, going dumb arguments, trying to get us banned, trying to get us blocked. So why not support us? Why not share our videos? Why not show those Zionists that they can't silence us, and we're constantly going to be awakened. The more they close us down, the more people are going to wake up and spread our message far and wide. Zionists don't attack people who aren't talking sense. They wouldn't attack us if we weren't trying to wake you up, if we weren't a threat to them. So if we're a threat to them, then surely if you're smart, then you're going to make us more of a threat to them by sharing our stuff and getting it out there. Yeah, thank you very, very much once again. Please watch more of our videos on MPAC UK. Please like our YouTube account, and do watch Raza Reacts, because he allowed me to do all this flash stuff that you may or may not see in this video, if I can remember it or not. Assalamu alaikum.